everybody. Welcome to another episode of Revolution Talk. My name is Zeta Ceti, and we are here live at MJUnpacked 2023 here in New York. And I'm here with Laurie Parfitt from LKP Consulting. How are you doing, Laurie?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you enjoying the show? Are you having fun or what?
I'm having a great time. I always think MJUnpacked is such a great event. I mean, They really do a fantastic job of making sure they curate the audience properly. So I love coming to MJUnpacked and participating in this conference.
Me too. It's so much fun. So tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do in the cannabis space.
Well, as you said, I'm with LKP Impact Consulting.
Yes.
I'm a fractional chief marketing officer in the cannabis space. And so I entered the space in 2019 with Forefront. I was their head of marketing. Prior to that, I spent about 17 years in CPG. When I entered the space, I had no idea what I was in for. And I really found my passion in life. It was an opportunity to really help people live better lives and be part of something that was bigger than myself. And my timing with Forefront was great and yet not great at the same time. We ended up in the capital markets crisis and COVID.
Oh God, yeah.
And so I started my own fractional CMO business. So we help brands, operators, technology, and ancillary services within the cannabis space who don't need or can't afford a full-time marketing team. We provide everything for them at a size and scale that works for them.
Right. So it meets just their demand of whatever they need in terms of fractional marketing, you said?
Yeah, fractional marketing.
So explain what fractional marketing is a bit.
So it's really all about having kind of part-time marketing help. So when you think about staffing a marketing organization, so you hire a CMO, you're talking a six-figure salary, you're talking benefits, you're talking bonus, you're talking equity, all kinds of things, and then they want to build a team. Your initial investment into marketing before you've even done any marketing be close to $1 million. And what our perspective is that in this industry, most small to mid-sized businesses don't really need all of that. That's a lot of infrastructure, that is a lot of cost to be putting out there and a huge commitment. And if something doesn't work out, then you're starting back at ground zero. And so our view is if you don't need all of that, bring it in at a fraction of the time, at a fraction of the cost, but get that expertise and be able to build your marketing at a size and scale that works for your business, for your P&L.
Is your business, is LKP primarily focused on retail dispensaries or cultivators or manufacturers, all the above?
All of the above. So we work with operators, we work with brands, we work with ancillary services like accounting firms, we work with technology providers like e-commerce, and so we cross the entire industry. And having been in consumer packaged goods for most of my career, I've gotten to see a lot about how different industries and different companies have worked, and being able to help businesses across the cannabis ecosystem has really become a passion for me.
And that's a difficult thing to do, to gain that that culture following around a product or anything. How consumers are all dedicated to their brands, right? So have you been able to transcend that for your clients in a way where you can see total measurable results?
Yeah, absolutely. And so with marketing, it's always very tricky in the cannabis space because we're very limited with the amount of data available to us to really evaluate how marketing is working. We're a very nascent industry. We're the second inning. So it's really about starting slow, seeing how, building up your marketing plan step by step, seeing what type of engagement, what type of increase in conversion you're getting engagement. Right,
and how about social media? Because how with social media, very difficult to do, right? I mean, that's why we're watching Revolution Talk here, guys, so that we can get past that and be able to monetize channels and things like that. I mean, you're not able to do that on YouTube, right? So, but in terms of being able to not get blacklisted, how is your experience with that with your clients?
So that is a fabulous question. I'm glad you asked it.
Okay.
Social media is a really powerful tool, and you have lots of different platforms. You have LinkedIn, you have Twitter, you have Facebook, you have Instagram, you have TikTok. And you really have to think about which channels are going to be right for your business. And like you said, you can't do paid social. It violates Instagram and Facebook's terms of service. You're not allowed to do ads, things like that. So you're a little bit more limited than, say, a traditional, CPG business or any other type of business. So what I tell my clients is, let's not spend a lot of money on social media. And, you can hire big fancy agencies to build gorgeous content. Or you can hire, like a team like us or freelancers who can do it at a fraction of the cost. And I suggest doing it as a fraction of the cost, because the truth is, it's really all about brand awareness. You're trying to get your name out there.
Yes.
And when you think about the different channels, LinkedIn's probably the friendliest for the cannabis space. You can post most of what you want to on there, and that's very effective from a B2B perspective.
Yes, agreed.
But from a B2C perspective, you're thinking more about the TikToks, the Instagrams, the Facebooks, etc. And you're violating their terms of service by being on their platforms. So, because cannabis is not federally legal, you're kind of at the whim of those channels. And
well, that brings up an interesting, when you said that, I thought about how I think the FCC has some kind of bill going through Congress that may lift that restriction. Are you looking at this at all? Or?
Yeah, and if they do lift that restriction, that will be fantastic, but it will still be up to Meta, who owns Facebook and Instagram.
Their own policies.
It will be up to them and their own policies. And yes, I think that will make it better, and so we'll see what happens with that. As of right now, you can be shut down at any time. So someone doesn't like you, they report you. They don't like something you posted, they report you. And the thing is that Instagram, Facebook, they're not consistent with how they approach it. So there's companies I've seen out there who post the plant, post people smoking, do all that type of stuff and don't get shut down. And there's ones who put a little bit of education up there and do get shut down. And so what I tell everybody is just be very careful about the content you're putting up there. Don't invest a lot in it right now. Save that money for when it's going to be more valuable later. Because at this point in time, at any point, you can lose all of your followers.
And if your whole account gets shut down, you lose all your content.
Exactly.
I mean, it's terrible what happens to brands. But what about with Twitter's new announcement? Have you experimented with this at all?
We're starting to. We never found that Twitter was as effective for the cannabis space as Instagram and LinkedIn, and even Facebook a little bit for the older community.
Okay.
But we are starting to experiment with Twitter because they are being more forthcoming. They're willing to work with us, see how that's going to play out. So that really remains to be seen as to how much engagement we truly get from that. But as I said, with social media, it's really about creating brand awareness and less at this point about conversion.
Right. I've always known that, right? Because I've always focused on SEO, right? And search engine results. That's what's always driven a lot of traffic for my companies. And so I've never really had to experience had to work with social media as much, only for brand awareness, not for conversions, right?
Exactly.
Or focus on conversions. So that's a really interesting dichotomy in a way, because we're restricted from being able to get on there and promote cannabis products in general. The launch of let's just say ChatGPT. What do you think about this? What do you think about how that's going to affect, let's just say, search results or even social media, or there's it's like a new frontier for all of us? What do you think about it?
So another great question, and so that's so new. What I love about ChatGPT is it really gives you, idea generation.
Yes.
And so, how sometimes you're sitting and you're working on something and you're like, oh, I've got this block, I don't know how to get started on it. And so what I love about ChatGPT is you can kind of type something in there and it generates some ideas. You're like, okay, now I know exactly what route I want to go. Where, it's been a little challenging in the cannabis space is sometimes when you ask it questions about cannabis, sometimes it gives you some good answers. And
it'll say, this is illegal.
Yes, it'll say it's a federally illegal substance. It is an AI program. We cannot make recommendations or do anything like that.
For sure.
So I have heard that there's some cannabis-friendly AI platforms coming out.
Well, we're one of them. But beyond that, they're really, a lot of them are really focused on lifestyle and products, right? There's not really one that's okay, I'm a content marketer and I need to be able to follow specific regulations, let's say. That doesn't exist at the moment, but that will be coming.
Yeah, I think that'll be very helpful. You know, with the way ChatGPT is now, you can ask some of those questions. You can say, you know, tell me what the regulations are for packaging in New York, cannabis products. And if you ask it the right way, it'll pull it up.
So let's talk about that for a minute, because I'm glad we're talking about this conversation, because you as a marketer and as a content marketer, somebody who's focused on marketing, your reaction, what was your reaction when that first came out? Did you feel like, hey, this is a tool that I could use, or did you look at it as a threat, let's say?
Oh no, it's a tool I could use.
Okay.
You know, to me, nothing is a threat.
I love it.
So
love it.
I believe in the abundance versus scarcity mentality.
Sure,
there is enough business for everybody.
Everyone, agreed.
There is enough for everybody, and for me, it's a great tool. And when I first saw it, you know, yes, and I talked to some content marketers out there and ones on my team, and they were all very concerned, like, does this make our job go away? Because you could essentially write a blog post in like, you know, 2 minutes. But the truth is, you can't. And I would caution anybody to take something from ChatGPT verbatim and put it on their LinkedIn post or create the blog post that way. Starter. And it helps you sometimes with your content, but you have to edit that content, customize that content.
It's like a 70-30. Right? So we got 70% of automation, and then 30%, well, you want to hire a group of experts, or you got to take time to really curate the actual materials before you publish, and but also people need to understand that, so that way they understand how to use it effectively, right?
Exactly. And what I love ChatGPT for is sometimes I write something and I'm like, I didn't like the way that sounded. Rewrite this.
I know. Rewrite, make more comprehensive.
Right. But at the same time, it's really just editing and making your wordsmithing you.
Right, totally.
It's not necessarily changing your content. And so I look at it as a tool that you need to use, but you also need to moderate how you use it. And so, as I said, it's not something you take verbatim and then copy paste. It's something that you take as an idea starter.
Awesome. Well, tell us a little bit more about LKP Consulting and what the future looks like for the company.
Well, LKP Impact Consulting has grown this past year. We have scaled.
Nice.
We have a whole team. We have content creators, we have creative designers, we have PR. And so, we are all things marketing at a fraction of the cost.
Right.
And so, as we've seen this tightening of capital in the cannabis space, we've really seen our business increase.
Thrive because of that. Awesome.
And so we run the gamut, as I said, we work across the industry, and we've seen a huge shift in how cannabis operators and companies are looking at how they approach their marketing. And so what's great about fractional marketing is you've got a team of people who can really pull best practices from so many different places and put it together. And we're starting to see the industry really understand that, take hold of that, embrace it. And especially when you think about marketing in the cannabis space, it generally becomes secondary to operations. Whereas if you look at CPG, marketing really is the leader. That's a very different dynamic. And in cannabis, the thought process behind it is if you can't operate, if you can't produce product, all the marketing in the world isn't going to help you. And I couldn't agree with that more. But at the same time, if you're not working on your marketing while you're getting your operations up and running, you will have no way to sell the product that you have.
That makes a lot of sense.
And so it's really all about doing the work up front, getting the positioning right, getting your brand out there before the product's even ready to go, so you can start creating that awareness. So when it is on the shelf, consumers know about it, they buy it. Bartenders know about it, they buy it.
Right. Well, awesome. Thank you so much, Laurie, for coming on the show. Thank you so much. It's awesome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. This is Revolution Talk. Thank you, guys.